Hey, all you timely bards and bardettes, welcome back to I Cast a Vicious Mockery.
A show about strangers, about rangers,
and ASMR reviews of fast food.
No, it's not about that, actually. I'm Matt.
I'm Austin.
And it's great to see all of you again. Well, it's great to know that you're listening again.
Right.
We never see you.
Right.
Not like directly anyway.
Yeah. Maybe that will change. Maybe one of these days we'll point the camera the other way around.
Right, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll get to actually see the
That would
audience.
be really fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a note of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I'm not. That's dumb.
It's okay.
I'll just remember that when I listen to this later.
It's dumb.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I just mean it's dumb to make a note of it. That's all. I'm obviously gonna remember.
Of
that.
course you'll remember it. I've remembered.
I'm looking at the thing right over there.
every
Look
time.
at the thing. All right.
Every time I've thought I'm gonna remember that later, I have every time. That's absolutely not true.
Perfect accuracy.
Perfect accurate. Literally earlier today, I was like, oh, I remember 4 years ago there was a band that I had discovered and listened to a bunch of times, and I haven't listened to them in a long time. And I don't think I ever saved them in any of my playlists or anything on Spotify. But I'm sure I'll remember something about them to figure out who they are. No, I have no idea. I could not for the life of me find any information with the vague. I can't even remember how any of their songs go. I definitely don't remember any of their song titles. I don't remember the band name in the least. I have a vague recollection of what the album artwork looks like, but not enough to even type a description into Google. So I think I'm just out of luck, man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find them.
Yeah, you're pretty much.
Yeah. SOL here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you were talking about wanting to discuss something about West Marches.
Yeah, so this is a campaign type in D&D.
Okay.
And actually, I'm not even going to explain the whole how it works. Or I guess I kind of am. I'm going to do a simplified version of the explanation here. Because there are more details you can get into about how to implement it and whatever. But the general idea is this. You start off with a world map where the DM has a complete map and the players have a blanked out map.
Okay.
Then what you do is you say, where do you want to start? And that's where the players start. So, they just pick like you think like a hex grid map or a square grid map, depending on how many sides you have, I guess. I don't know. They pick a spart and they start there.
Cool. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm picking up the idea of this.
Right.
I think. Right.
And basically they uncover the world as they journey around in it. And I think that in this kind of campaign, this is the kind that I would probably run. There would be two important things. Number one is, for me personally, I want the players to have a way to like go back to a central hub location.
Mm-hmm.
So they would actually be teleported in and out of these disparate locations unless they decide that they want to walk from one to another. That could happen sometimes. But the actual traveling it would be difficult in some way. Whether the party enjoys the sort of survivalist approach or they just want more fights and they get more fights, or they have other situations, social situations that they have to work through or things like that. That's all cool. Now, the West Marches campaign does have some issues, which would be like it doesn't work that well with a web of military, sort of international relations kind of campaign.
Right. Like political intrigue, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because like, how do you not even know what's in between the two countries and you're fighting over it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that. I mean, people will fight over whatever. They'll fight over everything. But at the same time, I feel like if there's no real reason for it, then they don't fight very hard. They kind of like, you at least have to do the exploration first.
Yeah. There's going to be something. I mean, it's not unrealistic to think that countries would fight over something just because they want it. But usually it's because there's something important there.
It's usually because there's something there and not just because it's space.
Yeah.
They fight proportionally hard for whatever the contents of that space are, usually. So, you don't get a lot of political intrigue or things like that in a West Marches campaign most often. Because you're not plopping down in the middle of even a village a lot of the time. Because, if there's a village there, that would be mapped. Right? Like, that's usually how it goes. Now, one way that I thought of sort of rectifying that in my own personal use was the idea that, like, magically, technologically advanced society was essentially colonizing a new planet. Right? Like, going through, and by planet, I mean in the D&D sense of, like, a different planar world.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up on this new place. You don't know it's anywhere. But you have magic to teleport and stuff like that. And they quickly build up a central, like, hub, which is a city that, they build. I was thinking like near a coastline, that sort of thing, right where they pop in. And then they, slowly, carefully explore the area, because you can't just, go through and wipe it. You're not that advanced. Maybe it's a place that is so inherently magical that things there are actually more dangerous than the planar world that you came from. Like, you came from a place without a lot of magic, actually. That kind of thing. The people who had enough magic, they eventually figured stuff out, and then suddenly you're in this new place and, like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like a fish out of water. It's an isekai.
Yeah, well, it's like not quite fish out of water. It's more like it's more like a big fish in a small pond going to a bigger pond.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like you got, like, your society is super highly magical and stuff, but you show up in a place where
it's twice as magical.
Yeah, where like it's, there's no crazy advanced magical society because the magic permeates everything so greatly that you can't mess with it in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you can't control it in the same way. If you any attempts at doing anything more than survival are met with being there's always a bigger fish. You get your you run into your giant monster that feeds on magical reserves, and that might be a problem that the hub spot kind of place encounters. A siege by magical creatures who are looking to get in on some of that teleporty action. You can have all these conduits and stuff set up, and they're like, hey, that smells tasty.
Okay. So you're thinking almost like an Attack on Titan kind of world where there are these societies that exist separate from each other, and going from one to the other is dangerous because there's all these creatures that could easily kill you.
Yeah, or there might not even be other societies there yet. It might just be a totally wild place.
Be the one. Yeah.
That sort of thing would be fine.
Right, which I guess is more like what. Anyway, so okay, that's interesting. Yeah, you go discover things out there in the world. Yeah, are you thinking more like there was like some kind of event that caused it, so there are like ruins of past things out there, or are you thinking more like this is a completely unexplored realm and you never know what you're gonna find?
I think it would be more intriguing to have ruins and that sort of thing.
Yeah, ruins are fun. I like ruins,
especially if you end. Actually, here's another thing that a Xenoblade Chronicles game did well, and I don't remember which one. I think 2.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess it must have been. You end up in ruins at one point, that are a modern city, like modern real world, sort of modern. And that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, it's like it's a cool environment, and it's really interesting because you think you're in this like fantasy setting detached from the real world, and you end up like in broken LA.
Oh, like what they did with Kingdom Hearts.
Is that
they have like an animation or something?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, is that what happened? Spoilers, maybe. I don't know. I think that's what happens in 3. Or maybe it's not part of the game and it's a separate thing. There's definitely a Kingdom Hearts cinematic thing that I've seen where Riku is like standing in the middle of like New York City. like he's in Times Square or something like that. Yeah, and it's pretty like weird. It's pretty weird. Because the characters of Kingdom Hearts are so cartoonish looking, and then they had these like real looking people rendered in there too. Well, okay, you know what the characters of Kingdom Hearts look like.
They'll have Mickey shoes.
Yeah, how tall could Sora be that would make him look normal next to a regular looking person? There is no height that works.
No.
Based on his proportions.
No, his proportions just don't work out.
Yeah.
Now, I would assume that what they did was made them significantly smaller than the regular people. But if they made them the same height, then you just got these giant super hobbit feet walking around.
Yeah, they got
these big old hands. Like imagine a person who could just pick you up by your head.
Exactly.
Like they're the same size as you, maybe even smaller, and they just come over and wrap their hand all the way around your head.
You know what? Now that I think about it, he probably was in Tokyo, not New York City. But still, just in the middle of the street. I don't think that he was like right next to any actual people. There might not have even been any people in the shot at all, or in the cinematic. Or never in the same shot as him, I think. I don't know. It's been a really long time since I've seen it, so I'm clearly not remembering any of the details. But it was funny.
If I find it, I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I can look for it too. Anyway, that kind of thing is really interesting in a game like Xenobrade Chronicles.
Yeah, Xenobrade Chronicles.
Xenobrade Chronicles. Because any game that I've played where they do that sort of thing, it's kind of like the whole premise. Like it's not a discovery you make. Well, that's not true. But in some games where it is a discovery you make, the fact that it's a discovery you make is like at the end of the game, and it's a big deal, and it's kind of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But
yeah, in whichever Xenoblade game it was, it's not that important.
Yeah, it just happens.
It just happens.
Right.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. Like I wouldn't give it away if it was a big thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But you get there and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I guess it's a little weird, but
yeah. Games where you walk around modern day ruins are like they're almost like an entirely different genre on their own. I never played the entirety of it. Oh no, that was me.
Beth, was that you?
That was me.
Oh, she's falling asleep finally.
Fine. Why? What? That was this tablet here, and I don't know
Oh yeah, they can barely see the tablet.
Oh yeah, you probably can't even see that.
Yeah.
I don't know why it made that noise. Usually that's the notification noise, but there are no notifications. Anyway.
Maybe it's a yesification.
I never played the entire game. I never played much of it really, but Nier Automata is one of those games where you're walking around like basically modern day ruins, almost like pseudo futuristic ruins even. One of my favorites is The Last of Us. And The Last of Us Part 2. Actually, Part 2 has some really almost open worldy type areas that are really cool to explore. But how would you get that across in a D&D game? Something like that.
Like those ruins?
Yeah, like the modern day ruins.
Ooh, I don't necessarily want to get into spoiler territory here for a thing that I was thinking of.
Oh,
but
no.
So imagine a layer cake.
Yeah, okay.
Where it's like ruins on top of ruins on top of ruins.
Oh, okay.
So that's one thing. Like, they don't have to be all that advanced. Just like every time somebody gets to the point of Rome, as far as their sort of, civilization development, and I mean like developing infrastructure and things like that. Like, I guess you get yelled at if you say that Romans were more civilized than people from other places or whatever.
yeah, because it's not entirely true.
No. But
yeah,
what I mean is, like, when you get to that level of infrastructure in this setting, that would require a certain amount of magic to sort of upkeep, right? And at that point, something comes along.
Oh yeah. It's like the more power you have, the more you attract things to you and it just
loops because the people survive it and generations go by and it's forgotten. I mean, people tell stories about it and you'll probably hear some of those. So that's going to be part of it, is there will be myths and legends about something that happens, right? Some kind of end of the world prophecy, right? Like their version of Ragnarok. And there will be people who tell you it's real, and there will be people who tell you that it's obviously not real, right? Like, how could that be real? And of course it is.
Of course it is, yeah.
Just like real Ragnarok, it's totally real.
Yeah, Ragnarok.
Well, real Ragnarok.
Real Ragnarok.
I qualified it with real to make sure that it was real. If you don't, then it could or could not be real.
It is real?
Yeah. I'm sure that they would be affected by Ragnarok.
They would be affected by Ragnarok. Just
as long as it's real Ragnarok.
Yes. Yes. Okay. That's interesting. I like the idea of layered ruins, or ruins where you find evidence of multiple different cultures, things like that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. At first, you'd be like, "Oh, well, this is weird that it's a different language now," or stuff like that on the writings and things. But that would all make sense pretty quickly after that,
Yeah, because in a setting like that, it would kind of make sense that the best place to build a civilization is around one that's gone, because some of the work is already done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That was regularly done throughout history.
Yeah.
People repurposed old structures, and if they were beautiful structures, people continued using them through to the present. And if they were not, they were taken apart and made into other things. Sometimes ruins were left to be ruins, but a lot of the time they were dismantled and used for something else because no one cared about them.
Yeah. And sometimes they get lost to time because they just kind of collapse and aren't upkept or anything like that because nobody really cares,
Which totally makes sense when you're focused on other things. You can't keep everything. You can't keep all the balls in the air.
Right. Exactly. You ever see? I mean, if you look at those like apocalyptic TV shows, like what will happen when we're gone? It's kind of interesting because we have all these a few things from the annals of history that have survived to this day, like the Great Pyramids of Giza, and like the Roman Colosseum, things like that. But like pretty much nothing that has been built in our lifetime would ever survive that long.
No. Yeah.
Like in the United States in particular, but anywhere probably.
Yeah. It all wants so badly to fall apart.
Yeah, exactly.
And nature is there to get that process moving along.
Mm-hmm.
And in this setting, I think the idea would be that, as the thing builds, it becomes more attractive to more destructive forces. And so each civilization reaches its peak and is just violently swept away. So you could think of it like water filling a basin and causing floods, right? Like you could think of it in a similar way where, there's more water, the land is more fertile, things are looking great, then it overflows the banks and everyone gets swept away. That's kind of the feeling that it would be. And then you could plop the players down in any part of that cycle.
Yeah.
It could have just happened, right? Like literally there could be ruins still on fire. And you'd be like, what is going on here? Like it doesn't look like anybody has lived here in thousands of years. And you could see evidence of, tens and 20, 50,000 year old ruins. But they're on fire right now. And like, what's up with that? Right. And that's just because it's been picked clean by whatever it is that's going through.
Yeah. Something just left.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You really lucked out.
Yeah, exactly.
If that thing smelled you teleporting in there, oh boy. And maybe it will one of these times. Or you could put them right at the end of a cycle.
Yeah.
Like just right up against it. Or you could put them in the middle, somewhere where it's like a comfortable in between time. If you look at it, because I would say, all right, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If you look at that setting, if you take this cycle and you make it 1,000 years of repeating, destruction, I would put The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild setting at about like the Calamity Ganon appearing would be right at year 0 of the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And 100 years later, I think that's about where you'd be. And then like 500 years into it, you would have a bit more of a bustling economy forming between different places.
Mm-hmm.
And then 900 years into it, you'd have a superpower forming.
Right. And everyone will have maybe not forgotten the legends, but are so far removed from the actual events that they probably take it for granted or take for granted that it might not be as bad as it had been before or something.
Right. Or like they can handle it this time.
Yeah, they can handle it this time.
Really, I guess 1,000 years might be too short for that.
Yeah, because that's...
But it's hard to say.
It's hard to... Yeah, well.
When so much is destroyed, like how much can you really guarantee is going to be passed on?
Yeah, because...
Everybody has to leave their homes and things to even survive at all. So what are you left with to, give to the next generation to make sure that they remember this destruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a little tricky.
There's only so many places that have communities in Breath of the Wild. It's, it's the 4 places that the game tells you to go to. And then there's like 1 more. Well, there's 2 more. There's Kakariko Village.
Mm-hmm.
There's Hateno Village.
Mm-hmm. And Lurelin Village.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the 4 places where the Divine Beasts are.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
Those are the only places.
And that one bowling guy's house.
Oh, there's Terrytown.
Oh, Terrytown too. But that's
becomes a place because you build it. Yeah, exactly.
And that could be a fun part of a West Marches campaign is the ability to influence the shape of the world.
Oh yeah, like build towns and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking, make a secondary hub, secondary base that your players like your player characters as they hit level 10 or so, they start running their own like smaller city.
Mm.
That could be really cool with some magical trains in between, of course. And then some, there could be like a murder on one of the trains.
Murder train.
Little murder mystery. Yep. Always fun. Yeah. Very fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an episode of Rick and Morty. And or also something that happens in Demon Slayer. And is also the premise.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. I guess Demon Slayer is like Edo. Japan.
Yeah. There's a train.
Yeah.
There is a train in Demon Slayer, yes.
When I think of it, I always think it's like way early, like primitive Japan.
No. It's like Edo.
Okay.
Era. Yeah.
All right, and then I don't feel bad about never watching it.
But there are no.
Because I already lived through that. So.
Oh right.
Yeah.
You know exactly what happens. There's what. Maybe there are, but I haven't seen all of it yet. But from what I'm remembering, there are no firearms. There are no guns to be seen or anywhere. But even if there were, they've got like lore and stuff for why
those wouldn't be
they aren't effective against demons. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They got the swords and they got it anyway. Cool.
Yeah.
Exploration.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great example of how you could develop a campaign that is about exploration, or West March's campaign.
Yeah,
about exploration. Yeah, that's a great way to start one.
Mm-hmm. Now, so actually, one thing though that I still kind of struggle with there is is rewarding the players properly, right?
Right.
Because you have experience points you can give them. You can give them like wealth. You can give them items, but you can't give them that much else. Like if you start giving them a bunch of feats, then it makes their character choices less important.
Right. Yeah.
Or if you start giving them spells, same thing. It starts mattering less what they chose for their character. And I think a lot of people care about that and they want it to matter. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That'd be fine.
I don't know. I mean, I think that if I was playing a game and I was given the ability to cast a spell like once a day or something like that as a reward for something, I'd be super stoked about it.
Yeah, you might be super stoked, but at the same time, I feel like it does take away from the leveling up process or something. I don't know though. Again, this is uncharted territory. I'd love to test this out. It's just really hard to arrange getting a bunch of people together, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. You're telling me.
Maybe that's what our show should be about.
Getting people together.
Yeah, how do you just
get people together?
I guess this goes back to the same. All right. Anyway, though, that does bring up sort of the other problem. Sorry. Hey, we're back.
Sorry, we had to cut for a second.
Do we have to say we're back, or can I just? I guess it's a podcast. They don't even know.
Oh yeah, no, I guess.
Oops. Oopsie poopsie. I didn't mean to tell you that.
We're back, but you don't need to know that.
Yeah, you don't need to know that. Don't tell them that. That does though bring up the other problem that I talked about previously, which is everybody just kind of, not everybody, but I do feel like the vast majority of people who I see talk about D&D online are playing D&D with their close friends who they're friends with for other reasons.
Yes.
Which means that they're trying to arrange D&D around a bunch of people's lives instead of just like you pick a night and this is D&D night and you play that night, which is how it would be if you kind of picked a random group of people and everyone already decided on which day it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like it's not like I want to play with a random group of people. I do want to use D&D as an excuse to spend more time with my friends.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's interesting that you say that because I have considered doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it that way now with the campaign that we're doing now.
Right.
But
when you say do it that way, what do you mean?
Sorry. Pick a day, and then whoever can make it, and whoever can't.
Well, sorry. I what I meant there was if you were playing with like a group of people who you meet online, a lot of the time that's how it's done. Everyone's like, all right, hey, we're a Wednesday group.
Right.
Or we're a Friday group. You could do that with your actual friends as well. It's just, it feels like it's harder for some reason.
Right. So people are a little bit more careful with their friends, I think, to avoid the like FOMO, they don't want people to miss out on it. So they try to schedule it so that everybody can be there every time.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that, well, first of all, life always gets in the way. So there are going to be times where even when you do everything right with the scheduling, somebody might not be able to make it sometimes. And then what do you do? Do you play anyway? Do you what do you do?
Do you just talk about them behind their back?
Yeah. Do you,
and like how they're they play a sorcerer.
They should have gotten that kid.
I'm talking about you, Carly. This is what we do when you're not there at D&D night.
Which is never, because she's always there.
Right. Because she lives there though. That's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair to live in D&D.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter how you do it, but I want to try doing it that way, even with the friends, because I think, I don't know, I think that there's probably, I think that it's probably good still to just get anybody who can make it together consistently, rather than only seeing my friends when it can be everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
and so how do you deal with then somebody who missed out on a bunch of sessions? They're not sure that they can get back into it.
Well, that's when
because that's a lot of work, like leveling up their character, for instance, to meet the other characters' levels. That involves a lot of decision.
I don't think you need to do that.
No,
I don't think you need to do that. But I did come up with a potential solution actually today for that.
Ooh,
I know.
Breaking news. Oh my God.
Well, and it's not like my idea, probably. I'm sure plenty of people have done this before. But okay, first of all, the idea I have in mind for this campaign is a series of one-shots, more or less. Like every session is going to be isolated. So it doesn't matter who's there, because whoever is there is participating in this particular part of the story. It still is a story. Everybody's has the same characters. You don't change characters like between sessions. But it all kind of centers around, you know what? I don't want to say any more than that. I forgot that I haven't told you guys anything about this so far.
Yeah.
But that's the idea.
This is campaign, I guess, not 2, but I want to call it campaign 2 from you.
Campaign 2, because it will take place in the same setting. In the same world, I guess. It'll take place in the same world. I plan.
Disney World, of course.
Yes. What?
Nothing.
Gidney? Okay. Now, that was important to preface because, yes, people might not be able to show up sometimes.
Right.
I plan on doing, I think the only way really to do it then is experience leveling. I think that's the only way to do it. With a game like that, or it's the best way to do it, because there really are no milestones. You're just playing whatever you're playing in that moment.
Yeah. And
whatever happens is the story. There's no story. You're not moving through a story. You're creating a story as you go.
Experience leveling is going to be better than milestone leveling for that, because if you are stuck with a lower level character in a higher level situation, your experience points will gain you more significant levels. But so how do you deal with then you get Carly. She obviously missed a bunch of sessions.
Always, yeah.
Ugh. like probably 6 or 7 in a row, and she's like, I might want to play again, but I don't know if I can really come back. And you're like, oh no, it should be easy. You just have to level your sorcerer up from 4 to 16. Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's only going to take 12 hours for you to figure out which options are like how, I wish there was a good way to deal with that. I mean, one way is to have players who are obsessed with the game and just who have already figured that out before they started. But let's assume you don't have that. You know, how do we ease people back into this stuff?
Okay, well, that's tough. I think first of all, it's a conversation that you just have to have with that person. You know, acknowledge their hesitation. In fact, you know, the likelihood that somebody would straight up tell you that is probably not very high.
No.
I feel like most people would just be like, oh no, I can't make it either. I probably should do my laundry instead. You know, like, you know, they'll come up with any reason to not
Which
do
is
it.
exactly what I should be doing right now.
I just did mine today too.
Well, I didn't do mine, but
you should be, right?
Yeah, I probably won't, but
it's okay.
Here we go.
We're in it now.
Yep. Oh, no, you know what? I did find out yesterday that I actually have several more pairs of clean socks than I thought.
Oh, that'll save you.
I was very worried about laundry because I was like, I'm out of socks completely. But no. I'm good for the week, I think.
Awesome.
Because I wear the same clothes to work every day, so it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, I do too, but mine's a uniform that was given to me. And they were actually pretty generous with it. I have like
mine's,
a bunch of uniform.
My shirt is a sort of uniform. Like I could pick what I wanted, but it was from a catalog, you know, it was like a list of options.
I just found out that I could have too, but they told me I had to pick certain things, but then I was told later that I could have picked other things, and I didn't realize that. And it given the option, I would have. And okay, so
can you pick Birkenstocks?
No, it was pants and shorts.
Oh, okay.
I would have gotten a pair of shorts if I thought I was allowed to, but they told me I wasn't, and then I learned that I could have ordered a pair of shorts. Like I got 4 pairs of pants, and I could have made one of them a pair of shorts, which I would have, but I was told that I couldn't do that for some reason. Anyway, the low-level character, though. First of all, I don't know. I mean, yes, it's possible, but I really don't see if you have the same consistent time, unless something comes up with their schedule where that day doesn't work for them consistently, or they have something else at that day consistently, then you probably just bring it up to the group again and be like, hey, motion to move the day.
Yeah.
Because this person can't do that day at all anymore. Right? That's probably what you would want to do. So I don't see it happening where they fall behind by more than a couple of levels. Like maybe 1 or 2, but probably not like 4 or 5 or 6. Like I don't know. Like that's a lot of levels to fall behind on. You'd have to miss a lot for that to happen. But regardless, I think that a potentially a good way to do it would be, again, inspiration from video games, kind of like the play of the game system from Overwatch, where everybody votes on who did the best, you know, in the game or whatever. But probably not entirely like that. What I'm imagining is, at the end of the session, toward the end of the session, the last thing that I would do is I would say, okay, in this session with everything that you did, you earned X amount of experience points total that can be divvied up amongst your characters.
Who gets what?
Who gets what? Who gets how much?
I like that. Okay.
Because then you sort of decide. Because it would be in everyone's benefit for that person to level up faster, because higher level characters are more useful. You know, and I think the one thing that I would do is I would make a rule where you can only level up once per session. Because it could be at higher levels, like you said, if somebody was super low for some reason and everybody else was super high, they could have enough experience points, you know. But I think that's better than divvying it up evenly, because then there's the opportunity for that person to catch up.
Right.
And be the same level as everybody else. And nobody else really misses out on it at all.
Well, so here's how I remember talking about this on the show now. This small part of it with the experience points. Here's what I was thinking of to do this. You give the players who are there experience and bonus experience. They get whatever they get from fighting or whatever activities they do. And then they get some amount, maybe like half of that additional or something like that, which they cannot use themselves, but can give to someone else. And they can all just like give it to each other, who like the people who are there, or they can save it for when somebody else comes back and give it to them to catch them up.
Right.
So, but it works out a very similar way. It's just mine would give them the XP at the beginning of a session, and yours would give them the XP at the end of a session after they come back. So either way is fine.
Yes.
Honestly, giving it to them at the end of the session is probably smoother and more convenient.
And I think it makes more sense just in the fact that those kinds of rewards should come from participation.
Well, I was thinking of it as a welcome back reward.
Right.
Which is, I mean, now we're getting into the dark patterns of design, game design to like get people hooked.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, it's literally just we're trying to like lessen that blow of like, man, because you felt it, I felt it, everyone has felt this thing where you miss something for a week, and then you miss it for 2 weeks, and the longer you're not there, the more you're like, I don't know if I can go back.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I can go back.
Yeah. We've all felt that.
Yes. Yeah. I think everybody's experienced that before. So yeah, I think that's a great way to avoid somebody really feeling like they're lagging behind. It really only works. It actually really only works in a group where everybody is friends, because otherwise that end of the session part would take forever, because there would always be that one person who would want to hoard as much experience for themselves and they wouldn't agree to like anything else. They would just stonewall it. Because I'm imagining a situation where everybody kind of ends up agreeing on who gets what and how much, and they can make their case. Because I foresee something where somebody's like, okay, but the next time I level up, I get this, which is going to be super useful for these kinds of situations, right? And I think that with our group of friends, everybody would be pretty fair with it. At the end of the day,
except for one of them.
And they know who they are. So.
Yeah, you know who you are.
So, I did think of something else though. Another kind of system.
Wait, they know who they are, and they're going to be like, "It's not me, is it?" Yeah, that's right. It's you.
Yeah.
If you're even thinking to ask for that right now, I caught you.
And now they're thinking like, maybe it's that person. And if they're thinking it's somebody else and not them, then it's probably
it was
them.
You the whole time.
It was them. Yeah, exactly.
All right, sorry. What were you gonna say?
But maybe they're like, it's me, and then they're right.
Yeah. It's definitely got to be the guy playing Liam though, because
it's him
like just to be loyal to my character, I would have to. every if the characters are involved in this decision, no, oh my god,
it's a player decision.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Then I can actually be fair.
the players get a chance to play God with their own characters, rather than just the DM doing it all the time.
Yeah, because if it was Liam's decision, then there's only one choice. Like he'd be like, all right, well, I use the levels the best anyway. Number one, number two, my goal is the most important.
Yeah,
and number three. I don't really trust any of you to do it anyway. So
you should be giving me all of it every time. Get me to level 20 as fast as possible. You see, though, that would be a funny strategy. I'd allow it. Like if that's what everybody decided. Like everybody's going to stay at level whatever until this person gets to level 20. And then they pick the next person to go to level 20. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't think that they would do that, but they could.
It would be weird. Interesting.
Yeah. There might be a lot of death involved if they're getting progressively harder and harder encounters and they're all, lower levels. I'm being
Basket, come here.
Oh no, Basket's she's getting caught in the wires. I'm being vague because I intend to start at a specific level. And it's not one, but I don't really want to be specific about it.
Oh my God! No!
Already? How did you just?
You to come up here.
Basket's part of the show again, everybody.
Hey, Basket, say hi.
Good job. Didn't make a noise. What? You were so noisy earlier. Why are you? You're just. She just woke up from a nap. That's probably
she did.
Why. Yeah.
She actually probably has to pee, and her food sensors are currently going off. She's like, "Hey, it's time for that thing, huh?
It's time for that stuff. That stuff I like. The stuff that's good for me.
Yeah.
The stuff that I need to survive."
Look at the camera. She refuses.
Oh yeah,
she doesn't like cameras.
Yeah, Basket doesn't like camera. So I didn't believe him, but Austin told me just yesterday that Basket really doesn't like cameras, and she'll like do whatever she can to not be, not have her picture taken. And then I proceeded to watch him pull out his camera, and she would stay perfectly still until like the moment before he would take the picture, and then she would move.
Yeah,
and do something crazy like. I couldn't believe it. He was totally right. She must know. She must have this sense about cameras, and she hates them.
Phones too. Like she knows when she's getting her picture taken, and she does not appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah, I think let's get going.
That's all she wrote.
I think let's get out of here.
Yeah, Basket's got to eat and go to the bathroom, and
she heard you say that.
So do I, and
yep. So, and me too.
Great.
Everybody has to.
Everybody's got to at some point.
Hey guys, all you bards and bardettes at home, let's go eat and go to the bathroom. Basket, do you want to eat?
Maybe even at the same time. Who knows?
Do you want to eat?
Oh, that's her word? Is eat? Okay.
Yeah. Well, you can ask her, hey Basket, do you want dinner?
Oh, she likes that too.
She likes dinner.
Okay.
That's what Anna asks her. Hey Basket, do you want to eat?
Dova's word is food, which is a really.
She doesn't know that one.
That might have been a bad idea.
Yeah, that's more because it's more common to ask somebody, hey, what food do you want or stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like, are we gonna have any food?
Yeah. The word food comes up like in casual conversation a lot more.
Hey Basket, do you want to eat? Do you want to eat?
Oh, she's so excited. All right. Well, next time.
Yeah, you can eat next episode.
Oh, no.